Good morning, students. Today we will deal with the last part, the last topic of the chapter, matter in our surroundings. But before moving on to that part, let us revise what we have learnt in our previous class. In our previous class, we have studied about the three different temperature scales, that are Celsius or centigrade scale, Kelvin scale and Fahrenheit scale. We are also knowing the SI unit of temperature, that is Kelvin, and we all know the measuring instrument for temperature, that is the thermometer. And for each scale we are knowing the lower fixed point, that is the ice point, and also the upper fixed point, that is the steam point. For example, the lower fixed point in case of Celsius scale is 0 degree Celsius. The lower fixed point in case of Fahrenheit scale is 32 degree Fahrenheit, and lower fixed point in case of Kelvin scale is 273 Kelvin. Similarly, upper fixed point in case of Celsius scale equals to 100 degree Celsius. For Fahrenheit scale it is 212 degree Fahrenheit, and upper fixed point in Kelvin is 373 Kelvin. For each scale we are also knowing the number of divisions between lower and upper fixed point. For example, number of divisions between lower and upper fixed point in Celsius scale is equals to 100 divisions. In Fahrenheit scale it is 180 divisions, and in Kelvin scale it is also again 100 divisions. We are also studied the absolute zero temperature, the temperature at which all the molecular motion ceases or stops. The absolute zero temperature is 0 Kelvin, or you can tell minus 273 degree centigrade. We also have studied about the relationship between three different temperature scales, that is Celsius, Fahrenheit and Kelvin. We are knowing the relationship between Celsius and Fahrenheit, that is C divided by 5 equals to F minus 32 whole divided by 9. And also the relationship between Celsius and Kelvin, that is T Kelvin equals to T degree Celsius plus 273. Also we have came across the uses of three temperature scales in our day-to-day life. And we all know about the normal human body temperature, that is 37 degrees Celsius, or you can tell 98.6 degree Fahrenheit. Now let's start our today's class with few questions. Does change of liquid state to vapor state only occurs at boiling point? Or do we always need to heat or change the pressure for changing the state of matter? In our previous classes we have changed the temperature and pressure in order to change the state. Also we have seen the liquid state is changing to vapor state at boiling point. So does it necessary that change of state will occur at a certain temperature, or do we need to heat and change the pressure to change the state? Is it always necessary? We will try to find out the answer. A big no. Without heating and without changing the pressure, we can change a liquid state into its vapor state. And this change can be below its boiling point. It is by the process of evaporation. As we all have seen, water when left uncovered slowly changes into vapor. Also we have seen wet clothes dry up normally in the air. So let us know more about the new process, that is evaporation. Evaporation. What is evaporation first? Evaporation is the phenomenon of change of a liquid into its vapors at any temperature below its boiling point. So, evaporation is a process of change of a liquid into its vapors at any temperature below its boiling point. Some key features of evaporation. First, evaporation is a surface phenomenon. The liquid particles from the surface change from liquid state to vapor state. Since the liquid particles from the surface is changing into vapor state, the evaporation process is a surface phenomenon. Second, evaporation is a slow process. The change of a liquid into its vapors is a very slow process. It takes minutes to hours. Third, evaporation takes place at any temperature below its boiling point. Evaporation can also take place at room temperature. It will take place at any temperature below its boiling point. Fourth feature, evaporation causes cooling. On evaporation, it gives a cooling sensation. We will study this key feature in detail, but before that, one question arises in my mind. We know during both boiling and evaporation process, liquid is converting into its vapor. Then does boiling is same that of evaporation? Is it? No. Then what's the difference? Let us know then the difference between evaporation and boiling. The first point of difference. Evaporation takes place at any temperature below the boiling point, but boiling can only take place at the boiling point. Second point of difference. Evaporation is a surface phenomenon. The surface liquid particles can change into its vapor state. The surface liquid particles are only involved in the process of evaporation. But boiling is a bulk phenomenon. Here the surface liquid particles and the bottom liquid particles are equally probable to change into its vapor state. Here the entire bulk is involved in the process of boiling. So boiling is a bulk phenomenon. Third point of difference. Evaporation is a slow process, whereas boiling is a fast process. Fourth point of difference. Evaporation causes cooling effect, whereas boiling doesn't cause any cooling effect. Instead, it causes heating effect, as during the process of boiling, heat is being absorbed. Now, there are various factors that affect the rate of evaporation, the speed of evaporation. Those factors are surface area of the liquid, temperature, force of attraction between the liquid particles, humidity, and the wind speed. We will study all these factors one by one. First, how the surface area affects the rate of evaporation. Here we will consider two cases. Case 1, we will take water in a glass, and case 2, we will sprinkle same amount of water on the floor. In the first case, surface area of the liquid is much less, but in the second case, the surface area is much high. And we know evaporation is a surface phenomenon. Since water spreading out in the second case, the more number of molecules will get the kinetic energy to change into its vapor form. Since more number of molecules in the second case gaining the kinetic energy to change into its vapor state, the rate of evaporation will be higher in the second case. Thus, greater will be the surface area of the liquid, greater will be the rate of evaporation. Or you can say the rate of evaporation is directly proportional to the surface area of the liquid. Secondly, how temperature affect the rate of evaporation. On increasing temperature, more number of liquid particles will get enough kinetic energy to change itself from liquid state to its vapor state. Thus, on increasing temperature, it will increase the kinetic energy of the molecules. More number of molecules will gain that kinetic energy. As more number of molecules get the kinetic energy, they will overcome the force of attraction. As they overcome the force of attraction, they will escape as gas or change into vapor state. You can see in these two pictures, when temperature is low, less number of liquid particles is changing into its vapor state. Hence, less is the rate of evaporation. When temperature is high, more number of liquid particles is changing into its vapor state. Hence, high is the rate of evaporation. You can take for example, clothes dry fast during summer than in winter. Why? During summer, the temperature is high, so the rate of evaporation is also high, and hence clothes dry faster during summer season. Hence we can conclude, greater the temperature, greater will be the rate of evaporation. Or you can tell, the rate of evaporation is directly proportional to the temperature. Now, the third one, how force of attraction between the liquid particles affect the rate of evaporation. Here we will consider two things, water and acetone. There is much more force of attraction between the water particles, but in acetone there is weak force of attraction between the acetone particles. Since there is much high force of attraction between the water particles, water is non-volatile. They do not easily escape into vapor phase or vapor state. But acetone is highly volatile, means they easily convert into the vapor state or they easily escape into gas. Hence, greater is the force of attraction between the liquid particles, less will be the rate of evaporation. And just opposite, less is the force of attraction between the liquid particles, high will be the rate of evaporation. Hence we can conclude, lesser force of attraction corresponds to greater rate of evaporation. Or you can tell, the rate of evaporation is inversely proportional to the force of attraction between the particles. Now, the fourth factor, humidity. How humidity affects the rate of evaporation. Humidity, as we all know, is the amount of water vapor present in the air. Do you know why air coolers work effectively in the dry weather? Or why it is difficult to dry clothes in the humid area or in the humid weather? It is because the air around us cannot hold more than a definite amount of water vapor at a given temperature. And if the amount of water in the air is already high, the rate of evaporation will decrease automatically. So, as humidity increases, the rate of evaporation decreases. In the humid weather, the evaporation is less, and in the dry weather, the evaporation is high. So, we can conclude lesser the humidity, greater will be the rate of evaporation. Or you can tell the rate of evaporation is inversely proportional to the amount of humidity. Now the fifth one, wind speed. How wind speed affects the rate of evaporation? It is a common observation that clothes dry faster on a windy day. Why this is so? With the increase of wind speed, the particles of water vapor from the surroundings move away with the wind. Since the particles of water vapor move away with the wind from the surroundings, it decreases the amount of water vapor in the surroundings. Less humid will be the surrounding. As we know, the humidity is less, evaporation will be high. Hence, on a windy day, the humidity of the surroundings decreases, and hence the rate of evaporation increases. Hence, concluding, greater the wind speed, greater will be the rate of evaporation. Or you can say, rate of evaporation is directly proportional to the wind speed. Now, among the key features of evaporation, one is that evaporation causes cooling. Then, how does evaporation cause cooling? We know in an open vessel, the liquid keeps on evaporating. As the liquid keeps on evaporating, that means it is losing the energy. Then, the particles of the liquid absorb energy from the surrounding to regain the energy lost during evaporation. And this absorption of energy from the surroundings make the surroundings cold. Also, you can explain that during evaporation, the surface particles of liquid gain energy from the surroundings. As they gain energy from the surroundings, they overcome the force of attraction between the particles. As a result, loss of heat energy occur in the surroundings, hence makes the surroundings cold. So, in this way, evaporation causes cooling. Now let us understand in a better manner through a flowchart that evaporation of liquid causes cooling. The surface molecules of the liquid absorb heat energy from the surroundings. It increases the kinetic energy of the molecules on the surface. Hence, the surface liquid molecules are able to overcome the force of attraction. And as they are able to overcome the force of attraction, they escape out as gas or they change their state to vapor state. Since in this process the surface liquid molecules are absorbing heat energy from the surroundings, that makes the surroundings cool. In the picture also you can see the liquid molecules inside are having less kinetic energy. Since they are having less kinetic energy, they will be having low temperature, because we know kinetic energy is proportional to temperature. So less kinetic energy means low temperature, and that makes the liquid inside cool. But the surface molecules are having high kinetic energy because they are absorbing heat from the surroundings. So evaporation of liquid causes cooling. Now few examples from our day-to-day life that shows that evaporation causes cooling. What happens when you pour some acetone or nail polish remover on your palm? You might be having a cooling sensation. It is because the particles of acetone gain energy, heat energy from your palm and surroundings, and evaporates, and causing the palm to feel cool. Since the particles of acetone taking away the heat energy from your palm and surroundings, it causing a cooling sensation on your palm. Now, why people sprinkle water on the roof after a hot sunny day? After a hot sunny day, people sprinkle water on the roof to cool the hot surface. Since water particles gain heat energy from the hot roof surface and evaporates, it makes the roof surface cool. During hot summer days, we used to keep water in our earthen pots. How this earthen pot keeps water cool even in hot summer days? Earthen pot contains small pores or holes, and water gets evaporated quickly through the pores by absorbing heat energy from the water inside the pot and also from the surroundings. Since heat energy is taken away from the water inside and from the surroundings, it keeps the water inside and the wall of the earthen pot cool. But in case of steel container, there is no hole, and hence there is no evaporation and thus no cooling. Here once again it proves that evaporation causes cooling. Now, why should we wear cotton clothes in summer? Or why we feel more comfortable in cotton clothes rather than in nylon clothes during summer season? During summer we sweat more. Our sweat gains energy, heat energy from surroundings as well as from the body surface, and our sweat evaporates out and keeps us cool. Cotton, being a good absorber of water, helps in absorbing the sweat and hence expose it more for easy evaporation. So, cotton fabrics absorb sweat easily and evaporates through small cotton pores and hence causes cooling and comfortable effect. So today we have read the definition of evaporation, the key features of evaporation, difference between evaporation and boiling, the factors that affect the rate of evaporation, and the facts that shows evaporation causes cooling. Now check your progress. My first question: which one will dry first? The spread out blue t-shirt or the crushed red t-shirt? As you can see in the picture. My second question: why an air cooler cool better on a hot dry day? Third question: Doctors advise patients with high fever to keep a wet cloth on their forehead. Can you reason this out? My fourth question. How evaporation of water from the ocean surface is helpful to us? Hence, it completes the first chapter, that is matter in our surroundings. See you in the next chapter. I hope you will be able to answer all these questions.